Hi everyone, we'd like to welcome Susan Joy Rennison to you. Susan, it's an absolutely pleasure to have you on. We are excited, we are thrilled, and I can't wait to hear your insight and your truth that you're about to share with us. So Susan Joy Rennison, welcome.
Thank you very much for the invitation. And you're actually very lucky because the last few months I haven't done any interviews. I have been asked quite a few times and I've said no. So I liked your invitation actually. It was just nice to have a chat. So
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I just figured we can chat because there's so much to chat about. So before recording, we were discussing the changes in our environment with our personalities and having to deal with, people basically tripping lately. And I wanted to ask, do you think that has anything to do with the magnetic energy and the solar flares and everything that's going on our planet right now?
well, I started this journey about 10 years ago when I got involved with some New Age people. I don't consider myself to be a New Ager. I've told people for many years that I'm a seeker of the truth. And in recent years I've been telling people I'm a philosopher because that means I'm allowed to think. Okay, so...
That's right.
But I was very interested in the human energy field. And what happened was that in about 2001, I went to... it was an event, and it was the Shaolin monks. And they were travelling the world, and they came to where I lived in Norway. I lived in Stavanger, Norway at the time. And they did these amazing things, but I was very intrigued because they were doing things with energy, and they were literally picking up energy from the earth. And it was something I knew nothing about. So that intrigued me. I was reading some New Age books. I decided to go investigate. I went to Germany to the big event, and I had a massive Kundalini awakening. I was literally on fire, and I was shocked because I wasn't expecting anything like this. They were literally picking up energies from the earth, and because I was in an auditorium with, say, maybe 400 people, I was the one that caught fire.
Wow.
And I was looking around the room, and I'm thinking, why is it me? Why? And everybody else looks ordinary. I actually, at the first break, this happened right at the beginning of a weekend seminar. And I went to one of the organisers. I told them that I was feeling very uncomfortable. I was actually on fire. And I was told that, it was Kundalini, and that was it. And they walked away and left me.
Right.
On fire. Still on fire. And there was like literally flames. No, literally like it says in the Bible, when the tongues of flames, it was literally tongues of flames. And so anyway, I really wanted to understand this, and I got involved with some people that were doing energy balancing, and I was hearing whispers. I do believe there are people who are very gifted, they are very psychic, they're very intuitive, and they were whispering, they said, things are going to get bad, the geomagnetic field's going to get very bad, and people are not going to be able to cope. And I'm like thinking, what are all these whispers about? Why are people whispering about this? If this is really going to happen, why are people whispering? And so I started looking for information, as well as learning about the human energy field. I started looking for information, and then I came across space weather. So, of course, then scientists have been doing work for many decades. We've had scientists working with astronauts because they have specific issues when they're actually outside of the Earth's magnetic field. And I started to put together a picture of what I believe was transpiring, but I'm very much a big picture person. I've spent over 30 years of my life, and in fact, actually, I was sent to Sunday school at age 5, so I consider that to be over 40 years of searching for truth.
Yeah, because you have to be objective when you're a truth seeker. That's the number one rule you learn real quick.
So it wasn't just for me. My attitude was, well, okay, I've discovered space weather. There's all these whispers about people becoming unstable in geomagnetic environment changing.
Right.
But I wanted to understand how this fitted in with other things that were going on, with climate change. I wanted to understand the things I've been reading in the metaphysical literature together. And I believe that people have been warned. Now, in the sort of metaphysical community, esoteric community, religious groups, and the indigenous groups, there's been messages about the end of an age. In the Christian community, there's talk of the return of Christ.
Yeah.
What does that really mean?
Please explain.
So for me, I've spent really, well, a very long period of my life, most of my life, searching for answers and trying to integrate this. Now, some people would have lots of issues with me because I'm not a Christian. Even though I went to Sunday school age 5, I was born again at 15. At age 17, I decided there was something missing.
Right.
And I started searching, reading. I've spent many years researching the Catholic Church, where Christianity came from, and I have got beliefs. I mean, I have great respect for Christians, because I think if someone really followed Christ, they'd be a wonderful person. So, to me, I don't have any issues, but I want to understand where the Bible comes from, where the teachings come from, the ancient texts, the different religions, what they're teaching,
right.
And I want to integrate this. And I truly believe the original religions on this planet were based on astronomy and the worship of the heavens, and that what we have now is something that's evolved from there.
Totally.
So I believe that the ancient warnings were about massive changes, and people have personified this. I truly believe, I'm sorry to say this because it could upset some people.
That's okay.
I believe that the return of Christ is a return of a divine energy. And the reason why it's judgmental is because human consciousness is involved.
I agree.
That's why it's seen as a judgment.
Yeah.
Because we, the collective, are judged. Okay, and I to me, it's very straightforward. It's very obvious.
Yeah.
Once you start to see that we're talking about an energy,
yeah,
a special divine energy. Once you start to realise that we live in a divine universe,
yeah,
there's consciousness there. There is energy that literally organises everything. It's intelligent.
Yeah.
The earth works. No one tells the earth what to do.
No.
It is just a machine that works. Highly intelligent. But planet Earth doesn't work on its own. I actually believe the earth actually has helpers. There's an unseen realm. So what we can see is not everything. And I say to people, you don't see the signal for your mobile phone, but it's still there, else the phone wouldn't work. So what we're having now, we're living in a time of massive change. We're living at the end of an age. We're living at a time where universal consciousness does housekeeping. It's literally a housekeeping function. Spiritual energies are sent to the planet to clean the planet up and to rejuvenate the planet. And then at the same time, there's a massive inspection going on.
Yeah.
There is a massive inspection. At these times, the scientists tell us that we have these cosmic deluge from space, and that normally at these sort of times there's massive evolutionary change. Some species become extinct, other species flourish, other species just appear from nowhere. And that is in the geological record. There's no argument about that.
Right.
Humans change, humans evolve, but I believe what we will be seeing is evolution and devolution. So I can see the spiritual side to it, but I can also see the scientific side. There is no real distinction.
No, they're never separate. No, not at all.
We live in a spiritual universe. End of story as far as I'm concerned. It's organised. It's intelligent. Really, the issue is us. We don't seem to understand or even respect universal consciousness. There's a lot of people that they just think that somehow they're on their own and that there's nothing out there. Well, there is something out there. And as humans, we have to cooperate with universal intelligence. We've been told to expect change. I actually believe that this planet is actually a school for souls, and that we learn as we're on this planet. And we have to, one of the things we have to learn is to respect universal consciousness, and that's what I believe.
Okay, so in that retrospect then, Susan, how is everything affecting our DNA then?
Well, there's lots of things, because I'm not a biologist, so
right.
My use is that I have to be very careful how I explain things, but this whole thing with the magnetic field, magnetism, what is it? It's a mystery. You talk to scientists, they get a bit embarrassed because they say, well, it comes from the fifth dimension. What does that mean?
Right.
So we basically have this force all around us that's highly intelligent that seems to affect humans.
Okay.
It's the Earth's magnetic field. There are signals that as humans we tune into. So those signals, if we didn't have those signals, for example, the Schumann resonance is 1 billion times weaker than the signal from your mobile phone.
Right.
But if you didn't have that Earth frequency, you would be sick immediately.
Got it.
So your brain is picking up signals coming from the Earth, from around the Earth. Now, at the same time, there are other environmental signals, and our scientists are now telling us that DNA actually incorporates environmental signals. So it's not just your brain is affected when we have geomagnetic storms. Our DNA routinely is picking up information from the environment. And it's a whole new science called epigenetics.
Yeah.
It's a whole new science, and they discovered this after they did the Human Genome Project. They were looking to be able to manipulate human DNA, and they found out there is a component that is hidden in the environment which they cannot touch.
Which makes
that is the spiritual side as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, because it makes this whole time that we're in even more fascinating, because we're actually mutating. But what are we mutating into? Will that be our own personal choice, or will that be the choice of nature herself?
I believe it's both. I do believe that humans have a choice, and I think that there is like a universal template. I call this following a universal directive. But at the same time, there is a choice. Now, some people are not going to step up to the plate.
Right.
They're not going to be of the level where they can move forward.
Right.
And I do believe there is going to be a separation. I do believe there is going to be a sorting out from the sheep.
But are you experiencing that now, the polarity of realities? Reality, actually? Because
I think people, you see, what happened with me is that I don't just accept everything I don't accept whispers. I wanted to go and check the science.
Right.
And there's lots of messages coming from the metaphysical community, and a lot of the information is a bit skewed.
Okay.
You know, there's lots of people that are just jumping on the bandwagon, and they hear something and then they make something up because they're looking for attention.
True.
So you have to be very careful which sources of information you go to. But there are some people that are respected, and they've been saying the same things for the last 20, 25 years. So there are certain sources that I think are reliable. And there's been lots of talk about what's happening with the changes on the planet. They don't quite have the scenario that I've worked out, but this whole thing with evolution and devolution,
right,
with the massive deluge of energy on this planet, what we're seeing energies coming in and energies leaving. It's chaos, and some of the energy leaving the planet is what I call old energy. It's old, corrupted energy, and it's no good to humans. Now, I found the science for this. We have our own human energy field, our personal field, and that field is actually evolving at the moment. For some people, it's evolving. For some people, it's devolving. And I don't believe that anything's static now, especially with this environment.
No.
But we are, for many years, people have been trying to, in the metaphysical community, there's been lots of encouragement to clean up the energy field, to actually work with the energy field, and to strengthen the energy field. I literally think your light can become a shield.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
And this is the message that should have been very strongly given out in the metaphysical community. It doesn't matter what you call yourself. It's the same with Christians. It doesn't matter what you call yourself.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Your energy field is your shield.
Yeah, it is your protection. It's your guard. I just told my girlfriend that yesterday. Yes.
And so,
yes,
with the changes and the chaos on the planet, with the energies coming in and the energies leaving,
yeah,
people who I believe have worked on themselves,
yeah,
should have enough protection.
yeah, definitely.
A lot of people, their spirituality is not their shield. They're not spiritual.
No.
They don't believe in all this, and they are going to be vulnerable.
Yeah, totally.
And this is where I'm actually, I go through phases with this. Because I don't consider myself to be a Christian, but I respect the teachings.
Yeah, and your insight is very
I
real.
understand.
Yeah.
This whole concept of what the parables mean about having oil in your lamp.
Yeah, totally.
You literally have to
have oil in your lamp.
Spiritual energy within you to withstand the chaos.
Totally.
The balance.
Totally. I so agree.
The balance.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah,
I truly believe that some people are not going to cope.
Yeah.
Now, it's, for me, I feel that the message that I am bringing is to just to bring more of the science into the whole concept of what happens at the end of an age, and also the things that have been hidden from people. You know, that the return of Christ, I believe, is a return of an energy. It's a spiritual energy. It's an energy of transformation and rejuvenation.
Yeah.
I can understand the concept of judgment because...
Yeah, me too.
I can understand the concept
because there is a right and there is a wrong and there's a truth and there's a false, correct? And that's what the judgment is for. To show you the difference.
Well, if you... I mean, I tend to be sort of quite... my terminology that I use probably upsets some people. But I just see it as simple housekeeping. I see it as the universe keeping up the standards, quite frankly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Then that's no good.
That's what I'm saying, because at the end of the day, there is a right and there is a wrong. There is a truth and there is a lie. There is something real and there's some things that aren't at the end of the day. And I think that's what this judgment that you're talking about, that is happening because it has to happen. You have to know the difference. You have to be discerning.
We have to understand that we're caretakers on this planet.
That's right.
We own the planet. It's not for us to trash.
No, totally not.
So I this is the way I see it.
Yeah.
I'm not an environmentalist, but I respect true environmentalists. People who actually do things like planting trees, I respect them.
Totally.
Because it's very much, trees are very much in harmony with the earth.
Yeah.
So, for me, I am, in my work of sort of integrating information, I think I'm quite inclusive. I'm trying to create a big picture, but there are problems because of the education that people have had.
Yeah.
Certain things have been hidden for ordinary people.
Totally. You have to go and look for it. Yes, you do. Yes.
And, you know, there are certain groups of people that are aware of things that other people are not aware of.
Right.
There's things that have been hidden within certain families, within certain groups, that they're aware of.
A lot of secrets, yes.
That ordinary people are not aware of.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I do spend time on my blog trying to explain, and in my writings and in my book, I talk about the UFOs. A lot of people think that there's something wrong with you if you understand, talk about UFOs. But my perspective is different again. I'm interested in the truth.
Okay.
And when you consider just how vast the universe is,
right,
the concept that we are alone is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
It is just
Yeah.
There is some form of life there, okay?
Totally.
And that we have our scientists looking for, the search for extraterrestrial life, SETI. They have very strict criteria. They're actually looking for something that's like us. Well, the whole point is that it doesn't have to look like us to be life.
Right.
And so, one of the things about the massive changes taking place on the planet is the prophecies about the return of the gods. Now, who are the gods?
Right.
Well, I actually believe they are the UFOs, but we're not talking about machines. We're talking about another life form. It's beings of light.
Exactly, because to our ancestors who didn't have the technology, imagine a planet being dark, no light, no technology, and you see this thing coming out of the sky, what's the first thing you're going to do? And they can do things that you can't do. Of course you're going to value them as a god.
Exactly. So we have these ancient writings, we have little messages that have been preserved in ancient texts about the return of the gods.
Yeah.
Indigenous people, the Maya, they are quite aware of who the gods are.
Yeah.
And for me, the real problem you have amongst ufologists is the refusal to accept the concept that there is other forms of life and they don't have to look like us.
Right, it's so simple.
So every single bright light in the sky, as far as they're concerned, must be a spaceship with extraterrestrials inside it.
Right.
And you can't get through to these people that it doesn't have to be.
It could actually look.
Spaceship.
It could actually look like a jellyfish or a bug, and it's highly intelligent. I mean, it's.
Well,
it depends on the atmosphere.
At the moment, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, I keep talking about a cosmic aquarium. Everywhere we look, there is life.
Yeah.
And one of the characters that I've really quite respected is a guy called Charles Ford, who sort of at the beginning of the 20th century just collected lots and lots of anomalies, things that didn't quite fit into the way that people believe things should work. And the way he described it is that some people are happy to accept yellow and they're very happy to accept red, but orange is not allowed.
Yeah.
In the universe,
yeah.
The universe just loves diversity.
Yeah.
The universe, if you look, the diversity is huge.
Yeah.
And there doesn't seem to be, the more that scientists understand, the more they realise is that we can't have these clean-cut categorisation.
Right. No.
It doesn't work.
No.
Now, I spent a lot of time looking at cosmology and the stars and cosmic features. And when scientists try to define the different types of planets, the different types of stars, there's always an exception. Oh, it does this. Oh. And so then, of course, they have to go back to the drawing board because the universe is so diverse.
It's so diverse.
And so this whole business with another life form and the return of the gods,
yeah,
we are seeing some seriously weird stuff happening on this planet.
So what's the connection between the return of the gods and the planet Nibiru, you think?
I'm not a big Nibiru fan.
Okay, because it's back out in the media again.
It's huge. I mean, I even have people contacting me saying, why don't I talk about Nibiru?
Yeah.
I believe that maybe sometime in our past, there was a planet that wandered into our solar system and it caused havoc.
Yeah.
People talk about Venus just being a comet coming into our solar system and causing havoc. There's ancient writings, people talking about Saturn, the planet Saturn being much closer to Earth than it is now. We have not lived in a static solar system. Even though that's what NASA and astronomers want to tell you, the truth is that things have changed. There is even such a massive debris field in our solar system, they believe that there was actually one planet that blew up. So so maybe there is ancient Sumerian texts that talk about a planet wandering into our solar system and causing havoc. But that doesn't mean to say that is what's happening now.
Exactly, could have happened before, in the past.
Yes, exactly. And the idea of something coming back, I think, 3,600 years, it doesn't mean that it's actually happening now. But
exactly.
we have
Yeah.
If you go to the website, spaceweather.com, they keep track of how many objects have been found and how many are coming close to the planet. And literally, I mean, I think 2 weeks ago or something, there was 2 asteroids that were spotted right at the last minute. And one of them came very close to the Earth. They came within the orbits of the satellites.
Oh,
so
wow.
I mean, really close.
So that's...
Again, there was, I believe, when some of these objects come, they don't just come on their own. There's an entourage of rocks and debris around. And we are getting constantly pelted now with meteorites.
Yeah.
So the issue with these asteroids and these rocks is some of them are completely invisible.
Right.
Now this is another little thing that's interesting. The energy that's shrouding these rocks is such that these rocks become dark, and NASA has to use radar to detect them. They have to detect them in the infrared and radar because they're virtually invisible.
That's real interesting. That's
so
super.
This is a bit of a problem for NASA.
Yeah.
It's not just using ordinary telescopes. They have to use special telescopes to detect them, either using radar or using infrared. Look in the infrared part of the electromagnetic spectrum to spot these rocks. And we're just getting this influx. I mean, it's like a huge, massive change that's taken place in the last 10 years. If you go to spaceweather.com, go back 10 years and look at how things have changed.
It's amazing.
Now there's a constant table
of
bits of rocks coming our way.
Yeah. So what?
This is the massive change. It's like a massive change taking place.
It is. And so does that have anything to do with the fireball that was near Paris last month? Like, was that a natural fluke, or are we going to experience more fireballs like that in the future? Near future.
It's difficult to know.
Okay.
I think we are seeing a lot of stuff. I mean, even like when I first started my blog, maybe say 4 years ago, there was a lot of denial about these meteorites. There was, they're rare. The only problem is that the rare is like every week now.
Yeah, seriously.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But also, I think in California, there was a rock that hit the ground, and of course that caused a massive sensation because these rocks now, these ancient rocks, they're now worth 3 times the price of gold.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, that caused a sensation. I mean, there was just a huge number of people going looking for these rocks because, 3 times the price of gold, that's definitely worth going looking for that.
Only on planet Earth, I swear.
So this is a very complex transition, but you have to go back. This is how I do it in my mind.
Yeah.
As to what's really going on.
Yeah.
We have a massive amount of energy coming through our solar system. It's affecting the climate on the planet. It's affecting the geomagnetic field. Earth is actually responding by lowering her shields, and that is the language that's being used by the scientists.
And why is she doing that? Because you would think she would have her shields up to protect herself. Why do you think she's lowering her shields?
Because it's special energy. It's
a
special energy, and it's an energy
Got it.
the Earth
How intelligent is she?
uses to actually evolve and to rejuvenate.
So
now, I was never into this concept of Gaia, of Mother Earth.
yeah, she's amazing. Yeah.
I was never however, what happened was that when I first started looking at my research,
Right.
I noticed the Russians were starting to talk about when we had a blast from the sun, the Russians were telling us that the Earth at the poles, at the north and south poles, you have something called polar cusp, and it's basically a chakra. So you have a chakra at the North Pole and the South Pole, and it used to be very tight. It used to be very closed. But when space weather started, it moved from 5 degrees up to like 45 degrees. The whole thing just opened up.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And then, after the space weather event, it closed back
How intelligent
I'm
is she?
thinking, so wait a minute. The Earth is like
She has a mind of her own.
is intelligent enough to know when to accept a certain type of energy and when to reject it. I'm like, this is amazing, and it's not just the Russians. The Americans are saying the same thing about the polar cusp opening up very widely to accept this space pillar. I mean, that was it for me. I thought to myself, I just have to have a different level of respect for the
Yeah,
planet.
she's awesome. She's amazing. She does have a mind of her own.
So now we have this scenario of the magnetic field dropping. Now there's times
Yeah.
where on the daylight side, the magnetic field just literally disappears.
Wow.
There is no magnetic field, and the energy is flooding into the planet. So we are now getting these, what they call shock waves.
Yeah, we're probably
Shock
getting
waves.
some big time Kundalini waves coming in.
Yes, exactly.
I really believe that.
We are getting massive blasts, and where the planet is ringing like a bell for 3 days at a time.
Yeah.
And this is all new. This is new.
I think everything that's going on, I think when it's all over, it's going to be a completely transformation, both internally for us, human beings, and externally for our planet as well. Like, you know, the skies changing color. Like, what do you think? Because I have a theory that our environment is going to change. Either sky's going to change color, or we're going to have 2 moons, 2 suns, something different. Do you have that feeling or that insight
Yes,
as well?
Yes, I do. I think I've seen some channel material
Yeah.
about the sky changing colour as well.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm sort of stepped back a lot from the people I was involved with in the metaphysical community. Because of my experiences, I've sort of stepped back. I'm not reading as much stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to interpret the more of the scientific stuff these days.
Yeah.
However, on this sort of ancient text and the things, I believe that if the planet becomes charged enough,
Yeah.
then we could see the sky lighting up, and with massive plasma phenomena.
Yeah.
We could go, and we could go back to what I've been talking about, paradise.
Yeah, totally.
This planet.
Because I think that's what Gaia's idea is. I think that's why she's opening up and letting all this energy in, because I think at the end of the day, that is her purpose right now. I don't think there's any other purpose, because I believe this is the first time in our recorded history where this transformation is happening. Like, we are changing, whether you like it or not.
It's very difficult for me because there's this conflicting information. From the metaphysical information I've read, the talk has been is that humans have done enough to move to the next stage. And that was why the electromagnetic grid of the planet was changed.
Okay.
Now, all this sounds crazy to some people, except for the fact that the Russians seem to be way ahead, and they're open about what they're telling people. They feel they have a responsibility, not just to their own nation, but to the world, to explain some of what's taking place.
Also, I think this is not going to sound strange to anyone who's been on this inner journey for a while. I think we've had this in our meditations. We've had these visions. We've been preparing. We've been reading. We've been writing. We've been crying. You know what I mean? We've felt it.
Well, the thing with the electromagnetic grid, from my point of view, the scientific point of view, I was very curious to discover the Russians saying that they were watching the Earth's skeleton being shifted and changed by interworld processes.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah. It's crazy.
They were saying that the planet is being transformed.
Yeah.
It's being changed. They said, look, the energy is coming into the solar system. All the planets are changing. It's not just planet Earth.
Yeah.
They said we can see these entities literally working and shifting the electromagnetic skeleton of the planet. And I'm going, wait a minute. So in the metaphysical community, there's all these messages that the electromagnetic grid is being shifted to allow for massive transformation. Now, on a scientific point of view, I believe that there is a grid. It may not be visible, but there is a grid around the planet, and I wrote about this in my book to sort of try and explain it. But it's literally a power grid. highly charged, it could have burnt out.
Wow.
So there was a need to strengthen the grid, and that seems to be what's been happening. And this is what the Russians said. They said, "Well, wait a minute, this is definitely happening. The electromagnetic skeleton of the planet is being changed."
Wow.
And it's being done by methods that we don't really understand. So this is why you're talking about another life form. Who are they? Are they the angels? Are some of them angels? Now I believe that they are part of the housekeeping function on this planet.
Yeah. Or that could be just the vibration of our highest consciousness, our highest self, the Christ energy itself.
Well, the way I look at it is, how does a crystal know how to grow?
It just does, right?
Well, yeah, but how does the bits and pieces of crystal come together in a certain matrix? Now, I believe that the same way that a crystal knows how to grow, the earth also knows how to work on it. But it's not.
Yeah.
I believe it's not just the crystal itself. There's an intelligence that surrounds the crystal,
Yeah.
and that there are forces that are invisible that work. And I believe that what's happening on this planet is that there are energies and forces that are now working on the planet.
I believe that as well. Yeah.
And we are literally getting
Yeah.
massive sparks of consciousness
Yeah.
arriving on this planet.
Yeah.
We are getting some seriously weird video of things in the sky like, what on earth is that? That is not a meteor because it's going too slow for a meteor. I've even found reports of astronomers, they're doing their, nice little night things where they're looking at the stars, and this massive thing comes in and nearly hits them.
Wow. Really?
It's not a rock, because it's just pure energy, and it just disappears into the earth, and that's it. It's like, what was that? So we are getting these amazing manifestations. We're literally getting sparks of consciousness, but they're massive. They're not just little things. Because remember, this is a whole earth that's being upgraded now.
Yeah.
This is an upgrade of
Yeah.
the whole planet. And you can't do it with a few little matchsticks. You really huge balls of light. Huge. Now, the Russians have been very helpful, especially to someone like me, because they've said things that I've had to think about really hard.
Yeah, they've been really on top of the game. They really have.
Yeah, exactly. They've said
Yeah.
that when they're looking out into space, they can see things that look like a comet. The
Yeah.
only problem is that when you actually put the telescope on, you cannot find any rock. It's just pure energy.
Wow.
It's just pure energy. They can't find a rock inside there. It's just a streak of energy. It's like a spark of consciousness. And it knows what it's doing. It's off. It's doing whatever it's doing.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, we have no insight to what's going on. It's like we're learning in the moment. It's like we're learning in the now as we go along. Like every day is a learning day,
So when I talk about, the UFOs, it's covering a large subject because it's plasma phenomenon.
Right.
It doesn't have to be an entity. It's energy. When I talk, it's very difficult to. I have to sort of try and define what I'm talking
Good
about.
point.
The energy has consciousness,
Right.
but it's not necessarily an entity. For
Right.
example, lightning is plasma.
Right.
We have sprites. We have these huge balls of light that are coming in now that seem to be highly intelligent. So, but I
That's
don't
brilliant.
consider them to be entities.
Yeah.
So it's complex, but there seems to be forces, energies at work. Now, the reason why I say that is because you look at the behaviour of these things. You just have to look at the behaviour, and then I just take notes, and then I start thinking, well, what is going on?
Right.
So you have these sparks that are coming in like comets. People are reporting what they think is a plane on fire in the sky because it's red and it's like it's on fire. Fire chi, sometimes I've called it fire chi. You have this energy coming in. Now the only problem is it stops dead in the sky.
Really?
Like dead in the sky.
Never. No. It's not even rational.
And then the thing just drops into the earth. And I've seen report after report after report because people don't know what on earth's going on. They're seeing these amazing things taking place. And they're confused. People are confused because they're seeing things and they don't know how to interpret it.
That's why I'm saying we have to learn in the now. Like every day is a learning day because we don't have the booklet for this. What's going on now?
And there's such a range of different things.
Yeah.
There's such a range of different, and it's complex.
So, is the solar and the magnetic field the cause too of the radiation being higher, or is that from Japan? Or what's going on with our radiation?
The planet is being flooded.
Okay.
Because of radiation.
Okay.
Humans are meant to have their own little support system, their own energy field.
Okay.
You are supposed to have a built-up energy shield around you. Like the little balls of light that we're now seeing all over the planet.
Yeah.
They have their own little cosmic shield in effect. Okay?
Yeah.
The little balls of light, and the big balls of light, they can fly off into space if they want to because they create a shield.
Yeah.
Humans are supposed to have done the same. Now, this is one of the reasons why I'm so angry with the metaphysical community because the message is not being clear.
Yeah.
And if you go onto my blog, you'll see a lot of anger.
I go on your blog and I love it. It's okay. I was like, she's a rolling today.
I believe that we've been listening to the wrong people.
Yeah, a lot of people have been listening misguided, yeah. But I think also it's because it satisfies them because, like you said, a lot of people are not attracted to the truth, you know?
That's true. Actually, you're very right. I'll give you that. But, people have the leaders that they deserve.
Yeah.
All this talk, all this talk about the law of attraction and all this cosmic ordering and, this materialism and the narcissism.
It is. It really is. Yeah.
That is what people want. So, of course, you've got catering to that.
Yeah.
However, the narcissism's not going to get you very far.
No.
When there's a massive deluge of cosmic energy and all the lights go off and they stay off.
Yeah.
I'm very practical about this.
Do you think that's really going to happen, though? Do you think the lights are going to go off and they're going to stay off for a while at least?
The problem we've got is that our technological infrastructure was built at a time when things were very quiet out there in space.
Yeah.
Space was supposed to be a cold, dark place with nothing going on at all. A vacuum. That's what I was taught when I was at school and went to university. Space is a cold, dark vacuum, nothing going on. Wow.
How boring an intro.
If you've seen the latest animations coming from NASA, that's the last thing. I mean, it's like
it's a show.
We're having these hurricanes in space.
Yeah, it's a show.
With the energy coming from the sun, when we have these coronal mass ejections, it's like a hurricane in space.
Yeah.
It's severe.
Yeah.
It's severe. It's totally different because the fabric of space-time is the background to how reality has changed, just as the indigenous people, the Quiero Indians of South America, from Peru, they talked about the shifting space-time, and it means that space is a lot more permeable. Space, the energy that's coming from the sun can filter through space much quicker and much easier. So basically, when you have these charged particles from the sun, it's like electric current coming from space. That's why NASA has press releases, a news article talking about planet Earth getting zapped.
Yeah.
Literally getting zapped with an electrical current.
But can we trust NASA, Susan? Can we rely on them to be a source, a good source of information right now?
I found them to be a very good source of information.
Okay.
NASA has put out some incredible press releases, like 2 weeks before Christmas, 3 days before the holidays. They tend to put stuff out.
Okay.
When they think people aren't watching.
Oh, brilliant.
Put
when everybody's real busy, right? Yeah.
Well, they've got an obligation. You know, they've got an obligation to actually explain, but they don't really want that many people to know. So, yes, they keep putting out the press releases, but it's not the big publicity.
Got
Now,
you.
someone like me, I've spent my time looking,
Right.
searching.
Right.
You know, the European Space Agency puts out short little media releases. Oh, by the way, Earth's magnetic field has got some big holes, but don't worry.
Everything's fine.
Everything's dead, don't worry.
Carry on.
For example, I mean, I've put this on my blog about the solar wind. You know, the sun, it acts like a shield for the whole solar system. It carves out a little niche in space. The only problem with that is the solar wind is actually flagging. It's actually much weaker than it used to be. And this is all happening in a very short space of time. It's like a domino effect. One thing's changing, another thing which is changing, another thing which is changing, another thing. It's transformation.
Yeah.
That's what transformation means. So
Yeah.
so they used to talk about the solar wind being like a big shield in space. Well, that's a bit of an issue because it's not as good as it used to be. The Earth's magnetic field, the shielding caused by the magnetic field, well, it's not as good as it used to be because there's some big holes in there now, and sometimes it just disappears. So now they're talking about the Earth's atmosphere being a shield. Well, that's not really that good, really, because we know this because of the cosmic rays. We're now getting these, when they talk about these massive events now, we do getting events where it's literally raising the level of radiation on the Earth's surface. We get these proton storms, we're getting certain types of new storms now. So we're getting a lot more cosmic radiation on the planet. Now this energy will transform, will affect our DNA, will create mutations.
How will it do that? How will it affect our DNA? Do you have
it will literally hit the DNA. It will literally hit the DNA. Now, the other thing I want to cause mutations, that's a fact. There's no argument about that.
Okay.
What I want to point out is that it's not just the energy that we can see. There's a lot of energy that we can't see. The dark matter. There is energy that we can't see.
Yeah.
But our scientists believe it exists. And they're saying the vast majority of the energy and matter in the universe we cannot detect. But they believe it has to exist.
Okay.
Now, the scientists starting to mutter about a new flow of dark matter flowing through our solar system and flowing through Earth. Which is very interesting because this is not the metaphysical community, this is the scientific community standing up talking about there's energy that we feel it's definitely there, something is definitely changing.
Yeah.
Now they're talking about these now you've got a bit of a problem here. Scientifically, when you talk about dark energy and dark matter, it's different things.
How in what way?
Well, dark matter is really particles.
Okay.
Tiny particles.
Okay.
Physical but tiny, whizzing through at very, very high speed. Dark energy is referred to the expansion of the universe. And
okay.
It's a bit difficult because people can't imagine that. So when I talk about dark energy and dark matter, it's confusing to a lot of people. So when I say this new energy coming, it's difficult for me because I know what the scientific definitions are strictly.
Okay.
So when I talk about a flow of new energy coming in, and when I talk about a flow of dark matter, it's confusing to a lot of people. Just imagine that we cannot see everything.
Right.
There are particles whizzing through us, billions of particles flowing through our bodies.
Yeah.
Now, that energy, according to metaphysical sources, has changed.
So I'm just trying to. Can I say something that would probably give everybody else a visual? I don't want anyone to get lost.
Okay.
So could that be the energy that holds the reality together? That's changing.
Yes.
So the matrix is changing.
Exactly.
Got you.
The background reality
Okay.
is changing.
Got you.
And so when our scientists say, "Oh, don't worry about it. You're going to get a few hits here and there."
Yeah.
No. Your energy field, your aura,
Yeah.
is being affected
Yeah.
by this energy. Now, I got involved with people who were teaching about how to balance the human energy field, how to activate certain parts of the energy field, and I've done a lot of investigating because I wanted to know whether they were telling me the truth or not, quite frankly.
I hear you.
And so I feel like my book is quite technical. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
I'm interested in exactly whether I'm being told the truth or not. The idea with the tuning the diamonds
Yeah.
is there are geometrical energy fields that surround the human body. And in fact, the idea being is that some of those energy fields seem to be working at a very deep level. They're basically working with the matrix of our reality.
Right.
And the whole point with the diamond is that that geometry acts to filter. It seems to have it seems to be there to attract, and also to it attracts certain energy from the cosmos, and it also repels certain energy. So energy is coming in and energy is being sent out. The idea is trying to attract certain information, and I believe that there's something very divine about the actual geometry.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
if you go into certain esoteric circles, geometry can capture certain energy.
Definitely.
This is a big secret. Big secret that geometry, just by the shape, can actually capture certain types of energy.
Yeah.
Now, the one country on the planet that I believe is actually very spiritually evolved is the Russians, believe it or not.
Yeah.
They've been building massive pyramids all the way around Moscow, and they've been doing it since 1989.
Really? That I didn't
What was
know.
coming. I know, I was shocked.
Because of the vibration, so they're trying to preserve their part of the globe, I guess, because they're locking in they're trying to be in harmony. They're trying to harmonize. Is that what you're trying to do?
Yes, they understand this whole concept of how geometry can be used
Yeah.
to pick up energy from background energy.
Yeah.
And so they've been building these pyramids, and they've been doing all these experiments trying to understand what's going on, and they've had some amazing results.
Good for them.
And even with earthquakes, they say that the big pyramids seem to stop the massive earthquakes, and so they get more little earthquakes, which is actually better. Lots of little earthquakes is better than one big massive earthquake.
Totally.
So, but they've been doing this for a long time, and I'm just sort of like, when you look at one country that they're building pyramids, and then you've got other countries that are doing earthquake drills just in case there's a big earthquake. I'm thinking, wouldn't it just be cheaper just to build some little pyramids or build some pyramids around? But this is the acknowledgement that we live in a spiritual universe.
Yeah.
Even the Russians are prepared to admit that we live in a spiritual universe.
Absolutely.
The week that my book was published, I self-published my book because I felt the message was important and I had to get it out, and I wasn't prepared to
compromise.
Put the manuscript out there for people to steal off the material or whatever. And the week that I self-published, there was a press release from Russia, and it said the world is facing a spiritual revolution.
Absolutely, I believe that 100%.
And they believe they're going to lead the world. And I thought, well, that's a little bit of encouragement for me. That's a little bit of, I just felt, because at the time I felt very, very alone. I felt, that I was seeing these things, and I understood it, but I wasn't getting the cooperation, and it's been tough.
It's very tough.
It's from
Being a truth seeker is not an easy path. It's a tough and lonely path. The difference between somebody who searches the truth and the difference between somebody who is, say, spiritual is because you can get really persuaded by your ego desires walking a spiritual path more than you do walking the path of truth. It's an integrity path.
I'm a seeker. Okay, as well as trying trying to pontificate these days and calling myself a philosopher.
Yeah.
I'm primarily a seeker of truth.
Yeah.
And I appreciate other people that have shared their truth.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That helped me on my way.
Absolutely.
So I see this as giving back. I see
Absolutely.
this as for those people who really want to understand what's taking place. It's a very confusing world at the moment. There's some really weird stuff happening.
Yeah.
And in this transformation, I want people to understand, and then they can make a choice.
Yeah.
Now, when we have these massive deluges of energy, we're at high risk because we have a system that's not designed to cope with massive currents coming from space. So I want to reach out to the engineers, the people who are gifted, the scientists, the inventors, and say, you know what, we're going to have to change because according to the Mayan elders, this is going to go on for the next 5,200 years. This is not just in the next solar cycle. This is a permanent shift for the next 5,000 years.
Are you kidding me? It's so long of a process.
The age of the ether, according to the Mayan elders, is 5,200 years.
Yeah.
This is not just a 5-minute shift.
No.
This is going to go on for... So our reality is going to change.
Yeah, most definitely.
So for me, people need to be aware of this and say, do you really want to be at risk? Or do we do things differently? Or do we do things differently? You know what? We can do things differently. Change means change.
Change means change. Totally.